Hey, welcome everybody to the 50th podcast presented by 5-Pin Universe. I'm your host, Karie Kreutz. We have the usuals, Adam Weber, Tim Wiseman, and Dexter Wiseman. And for this milestone podcast, we have the legend, Scotty Barbour, 2003 TPC at Collingwood champion, the inaugural TPC champion, and my first cash tournament I ever played in.
Thanks for having me out, guys. I'm excited to be on here.
Welcome, Scotty.
Can't wait to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah.
Been so long since we've talked.
Editing, maybe. I don't know.
It was pretty awesome to see you, Scotty, out on lanes. I know it's been a few years since you've played in a major cash tournament. How did you feel out there?
I had a blast, man. It was great to be back and playing with you guys again and seeing all my friends. And, you know, I said again, the competition part of it is I don't get a lot of opportunities to go compete and much anymore. So to get out there and get to compete again was lots of fun. I had a blast playing Friday night. It was good playing with you guys, you and Johnny, and getting out to see the eventual champion throw some balls was pretty nice to see. And just more so hanging out with the boys and seeing everybody again was fantastic. And the bowling, of course, it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great time playing with you, Scotty. I just want to say Tyler obviously kept it for himself because he was absolute garbage on Friday night. But
absolutely, I heard this guy's a machine, and I was like, a broke down machine, maybe. Just kidding.
Well, that's the great thing about playing those events, though, is because that's the time period where you can use it to figure shit out too. So
100%, man. I don't hold it against them. You know what I mean? It's either the kind of you're on and you have it, or you don't, and you figure it out for the next day because you're really there for the singles event. So, hey, good on him.
No, exactly. I was one of the guys that wasted on Thursday night on Tim Wiseman because I bowled unreal there, and I wasted.
Well, it sounds like I know who gets cut from that team next year.
Taylor Michelle. Taylor was absolutely dog shit. And his wife said that too. So let's be honest. And in all fairness, Karie, we dumped Adam. We made the cut, so we did a significant improvement. So
clearly made up.
Yeah, Adam made the same amount of money as we did. So they ran all the way through the B finals, didn't make anything, and
they didn't make it to the B finals.
No, they got knocked out the match after.
Oh, it's all the same. They made all that money for nothing, so it's all good.
Well, not true, because we ended up winning a couple side pots in there too. So we definitely made more money than you guys. And the whole pride thing, when we ended up beating you in the first round of that playoff round, that felt pretty good too, right? So it's all, like I said, it's all about loyalty. It's all about karma. Right? So
hey, all I know is I held my ground. It was the other two guys that really messed that one up. But whatever.
I'm not gonna lie, we were waving the white flag as soon as we made the finals. We were okay. Even Mitch said that didn't really seem like a really tough match. So thanks, Mitch. I really appreciate it. So.
Like, Karie, you realize the common trend on like every single year, it just might be Tim.
Yeah, it's really seeming that way, but I'm all about loyalty, so I'll stick with them.
Well, good luck with that.
Hey, that bodes well for Tyler and Scotty and Mark. So I mean, that's all good for them right now.
Yeah, I won't be leaving that team until I get kicked off. So,
so Scotty, you brought your son out for the weekend.
Yep.
How cool of an experience was that for you, and how cool of an experience was it for him?
Awesome. I can't wait till he gets to play, and I'm really excited for having one of my bucket list things would be to play on a team with him someday. So the hope is that I can kind of hang around enough to make it to an adult team with him. So to get an opportunity to go play a cash tournament with him as well, hopefully next year will be awesome, because now he knows what it's about. He has a good understanding what it's about, and I think he was probably ready to play this year to go get the experience. But I think it was just a better time for him to watch and take it all in. And he had a blast. You know, he had a blast watching Karie specifically. He just thought it was pretty cool how Karie let it go and walked off the lanes. He just got a kick out of that. So him seeing all that and the players and all the guys, he's heard all these stories about me talk about guys that I played with and this guy and that guy and Gino, and he's in the background yelling at me, Gino, and all this. Like, enough of Gino. Anyways, but just seeing all those guys and getting to experience what, why I love the game of bowling and why I love playing on the tour events, that's he got to fully see what it was all about by coming home at 2 a.m. and experiencing the aftermath of, the Calcuttas and hanging out in hotels. And it was great for both of us, and for him, I think he's suckered into being a tour event player.
He looks surprised that I had a story about him.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think he forgets that, back in the day with me going that fathers talk about their kids, man. We're proud about it. So for me to babble to you guys all about it, that's what we do, right? So, but you know what? I think it was for him. It was really surprising to see how, the variance of young guys to old guys. That how it didn't matter, kind of where you fit into that demographic. We're all buddies. It was. From the young guys that I hadn't met, from Kobe, for example, who had never played before, and it was awesome to watch him play this weekend. And, all the way up to getting to see Gino and Wade Power and some of these guys that have been doing this forever. It was a good experience for him.
Yeah, that's why we're so fortunate in this game. Lifelong friends, no matter what, right? It's
awesome.
Yeah,
man. I rave about this, and I do presentations for football and stuff, and I talk about how, this game's unique and special that way because, as much as you can go out and compete on the lanes, it's more so the fun afterwards and the stuff that we're doing extracurricularly that makes it good. Hanging out on the lanes and just, the social events is what makes it so much fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nothing better than getting a full Bakers event or a full Trios event and getting to play. And even if you're not playing well, still hang out with the people that you signed up to throw that money away with.
Oh man, I had we were horrible. we were really bad, man. So, but at any point did I regret or say that I didn't want to be there? Hell no. I had a great time just taking it all in and just waiting for it to change. I can't be this bad the whole time.
Yeah. And
game after game after game, it just continues. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I love the team. I've always been. I think the singles are where you pride yourself on and where you can set your level of where you are as a person. But my pride and joy has always been a team events. I love playing team events. I feel more disappointment letting you guys down in a 4-player event than I ever would do missing a cut by myself. So, I love the team event because it's just different demographic and playing with guys, from out of the provinces, which makes it more fun for me. Like rather than playing with Winnipeg guys, I love being able to go and play with a guy I've never played with before.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about.
That's a good experience for him because what are the chances that he's ever going to go play with an old dude from Manitoba? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's.
You got to take every opportunity you can to play with the people that you'd never get an opportunity to play with.
Hashtag loyalty.
So you guys need a 3-player guy for next year then?
Yeah, sorry, Tim. Peace out.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Loyalty, you know what it is? Would you like a window or an aisle seat home?
Yeah. True enough.
That's what you get. That's how loyal it is.
And that's all it is. There is no, what do they call it? Sitting in the middle anymore. We're always on turboprops now. We're not cool enough to be on the big planes anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's not us. It's the fact we're going to Regina.
Oh yeah, that could be.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
So what were the numbers?
Yeah. For Regina?
Yeah.
268 entries.
268.
New
Massive.
record.
New record.
Unreal. At
We're opening up
272.
276. 272. Yeah, 272. Yeah.
It was phenomenal. It was crazy.
Now, just going back, what just you might have numbers on that, but what was an old KG like?
Numbers we heard was pretty close to the 250, 260 mark at a 48.
We got up to some of those back, and then when we had when they had the 48 cut that year, I think there was close to 250 if I remember correctly.
Yeah. But all those bowlers on how many lanes? Like there was quite a few more lanes at KG. I
Oh
think
yeah.
24, I think was the final number we heard from a few guys this weekend.
Yep.
To get 268 players, 266 at Sherwood on 16 lanes is made for some long shifts. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's
even
been,
like that 2:00 shift. What was it? 8 hours? It was 10:30. I think we were done.
yeah.
Yep.
But we pushed it. We started, I guess, just after 3. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really close to 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we all know it's coming, and that's the punishment for not making the cut before. You know.
Hey,
You-
if you don't want to play under those conditions, then get out there Friday.
Right. Exactly. And make it Friday. And if you don't make it Friday, and you decide that's going to be the shift you're playing, that's the shift you get. That's
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with being out on lanes for that long. You just have to be ready for it. And like, I don't know.
I
It
used
is
to
what
play-
it is.
I played competitive golf here, and then we played in the Manitoba Amateur. And when I played in the Amateur, I'd have a 7.5 or an 8-hour golf round
Oh,
at a competitive golf event in the province. So it like that's craziness. So that's the sport. That's the nature of the beast. I think it challenges. I think it's a great challenge to see. I'd love to play that shift and have guys have to play in an 8-hour shift because I think it challenges you in a different way than it does when you're flying out through it on a Friday afternoon shift.
Well, nowadays, if you actually look at the stats on the last shift, it's only like 5, maybe 6 people that make it usually on a shift. It's just mental grind, and you have to prepare yourself for that 8 hours. Yeah.
If that really is usually probably closer to like 3 or 4 that usually get through that last shift.
Now, do you think that's partly the timeline of it, or do you also think that there's? I think a lot of that weighs in. It's a Saturday. People are starting to know a number. People are pushing you're 4 games in, you got 1,000. You're like, oh shit, I need 1,200 for the next half to have a sniff. So that changes the demographic of how people are throwing. So
partially,
yeah. I think there was.
I posed that question versus a statement, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is all the above.
There was definitely more than I think there was close to 8 or 9 that made it that last shift. Was there not?
yeah. I'm looking it up right now.
It was big.
No, Scott. I also think that if you look at the general census of the last shift, it's either people are trying to rebuy or it's your honestly. I don't want to sound rude about it. It's your locals who are going to play the one shift, and maybe they're not as talented as maybe the tour pros out there, and I think that has part to do with it too. But yeah, I think it was abnormally high how many people qualified from the Saturday afternoon shift this time.
Yeah, it was high.
But the numbers were high for that shift. That was a big shift compared to the usual Saturday afternoon shift, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's usually pretty full, but they opened it up for a lot of people. So
80 played, right?
If I'm reading this right, I think there should be 9 people that made it.
Yeah.
That's
big.
insane. That's really insane. Yeah. 9% is in.
What I find funny, Tim, is like how you said that about the locals and that too. Like very few people like me. I just went up just because the way it worked out to just play the Saturday afternoon. But normally, if I'm playing, I would never do that. Like I would be a Friday morning, get out there, get it done. And if I had to, I'd be a Saturday guy for my second or third if I needed to. So that was not the normal situation. But I would agree that the majority of people that are going to do the one-time entries under the hope and a prayer kind of a scenario would be the Saturday afternoon, have more of those people on it where they're just kind of coming out for the experience.
Yeah.
Correct.
Versus the guys who are flying in for the Friday shift because that's, you know what I mean? Guys who are playing Friday are usually guys who are playing for the purpose of playing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's a big in 10-pin they call it squad equity, where you get into a shift or a squad that has a lot of high talent players so you can roll along. I don't know in Regina if that is so much the case anymore, because you have 63 entries Friday morning, 62 entries Saturday afternoon or Friday afternoon, 63 again Saturday morning, and then 80. They're all full. You're probably going to have pretty much the same quality across all the shifts.
Yeah.
For the most part, but you're going to also have a lot of the high-end players that are playing, the Friday morning and getting through. So I think the overall talent levels might drop slightly as you get through the shifts, but at the same time, they're really high-quality players that are coming out. But to get back to your Saturday afternoons, I actually spoke with 3 guys, and they all said the exact same thing, that they only play that last event because they played better kind of when their back's up against the wall. So they kind of really, put some heat on themselves just to play the one shift and, come out, nice and fresh and try to make that cut.
West is one of them, I think. He always says he never qualifies with his first shift, but he always plays well Saturday afternoon for his second shift, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a possibility of that going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think the pace of play, the 8-hour shifts, my 2 best qualifying shifts both came out of a 4th a couple years ago at the TPC, which was full, and then like 2 or 3 years ago at Regina when it was pretty close to 80 players as well. So it's funny because you'll end up seeing a set of players that all of a sudden you get 3 or 4 guys in that one qualifying shift. And no rhyme or reason to it, but they just all seem to get hot in that mode for that 8-hour session. It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally putting in a shift of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that we pay money to go put in a shift of work.
Brutal.
It's awesome though, but I do agree with Adam on the talent pool being maybe a little bit better Friday. Well, maybe not better, but I think you're going to have the majority of the top quality, like out of town bowlers, anyways. Friday morning, Friday afternoon, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it like not like Michael or whoever it was you say to do the Sunday thing. I get that because I get the whole I like the pressure. I feel that to me that makes me perform better. So I kind of understand that philosophy. However, the reciprocal of that is if you're going to go and you're going to be a tour event guy and you're just going to put all your eggs into the one basket for the one event, at that point, if you're really traveling and you're going to spend the money, should you be just leaving it to the one opportunity?
You're right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At that point, I think you should be giving yourself at least 2. If it's a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, or whatever, I think that you should leave yourself an option to have 2 outs. Because if you don't, I just think there's too much talent right now just to think that you're going to have it every time on a Saturday afternoon. I think that's a little bit too
bold,
braggadocious. I don't know. I think you're expecting too much from yourself if you think you're going to do it all the time.
Well, you think there's 150 some individuals that are playing. Only 31 are making it through that top cut. I'm sorry.
1 in 5, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, there is a quality of player out there. I would say there's almost 100 quality 250 plus players. To say you have it every time to beat those other 70 players, it's I wouldn't bet against it. That's for sure.
I think it's kind of the same mentality, for that last shift as well as. If you're close to a cut line on a previous shift, right? Especially if you're coming from out of town, you can't possibly sit on what you believe the cut line is going to be and just sit there and watch and wait. And that's why you see guys like Mike Herbert, who, for the most part, I think his 22.05, everybody was pretty certain it was going to be good, but he had to keep playing, right? Like he had to keep playing. In his words, he couldn't just sit there and watch. That's just not his personality, right? So, go out there and try to shoot 22.80 instead. So.
Well, and Tyler's a great example too, because he could have very well sat on 21.81, and he didn't, and he qualified, but he wouldn't have.
No,
moved up to 21.85. He wouldn't have made it.
So going to the cut line, the running joke is always Robbie Wolfson is always the bubble boy at 32. And sure enough, the score turned out he was 32nd. But if he wouldn't have played another shift, he would actually been in the cut at 31.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
There's two additional qualifiers, Rob and Mike, or was there even more?
Actually, no. Because
Mike.
Robbie was actually 32. It was just Mike. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. Just Mike.
Yeah.
It was absolutely insane. Yeah, it was great.
Well, Robbie and Mike, right? If Robbie wasn't there, then it would have bumped down to Robbie's second score. But yeah, that's a little bit of karma, I think, on Robbie. I know he didn't feel that score was good enough, so he was going to play again anyways. But it would have been pretty neat to see him squeak in above the cut line
For once.
Yeah.
It is what it is. He put his money where his mouth is, and he shot unreal. I was with him on that shift, and I've never seen a guy clutch up so well in 7-8 when he notoriously kind of slows down in the 9th, 10th frame of those last two games, but he sure pounded it through, and it was pretty good.
I love Robbie. Yeah.
It was
Just a
absolutely
breakthrough.
awesome. Yeah. It was kind of a really neat moment for me too, because I was running around watching everybody, watching the final scores, just trying to keep track of everybody, because there were so many people that were like right on the cusp. Because I mean, holy crap, the difference of 30 points puts you down like 16 spots. You know, it's a huge difference. So it was really cool to see Robbie, because he was on one of the center lanes that didn't have the running totals working, and I was running around keeping track of him too, and he was like, "Can you do me a favor?" And you know, I don't want to know where I am. I don't want to know what my total is. I just want to know if I'm doing okay. And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll go double check." And I came back, it was like, he's got like 80 something in 5 with like, a strike in 5, I think. And I'm like, he had 20.57 at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're doing well. You're doing well. He's like, okay. And then, 21.57. I'm like, you're doing okay. He's like, okay. And then he goes and he throws the next strike, and and I walk back and I talk to you, Karie. I was like, do I tell him? You're like, I'm like, you know what? I'll go ask him, and that'll tell him enough. So I walk over to Robbie. I'm like, Robbie, do you want to know? And he's like, yeah, I think I do. I'm like, you're good. You're in. You're good. He's like, I made a cut. I made a cut. And he gave me the biggest hug, and it was an awesome moment. It was super cool just to see a guy so elated, and kudos to him. Long time coming. He's having a breakout year. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Oh, and it could have been like real sour as well, because his 21.83, he opened 9-10 of the last game again to put him in that position, right? So, yeah, no, I was super stoked for the guy. Mm-hmm. It's really been eating on him for quite a few years now. So, and he's pretty composed that he's not gonna show his emotions too much when it comes to that. But I know it was eating at him, and then comes out and goes against probably the tournament favorite or pre-tournament favorite in Brad Mones, and takes him down the first match. So good for Wolf. Hopefully he's able to continue that through Red Deer and beyond.
I thought the craziest thing on the weekend was Shane Barry qualifying. He goes up there and he goes, where's the corner? And he goes, miss, whiffed it twice. And then all of a sudden you look at Brian Hurst. Brian Hurst blows a corner in 10 and he loses, not making the cut. All of a sudden Shane makes it by 1, right? 1 point. And all he had to do is hit that corner, and all of a sudden he leaps 2 guys. Like, it was just absolutely so tight and so crazy.
There was like 3 or 4 players there in the last 5 frames. That last game kind of backed up. They had legitimate shots at making that 2,200 number, and then they just backed right off.
Mm-hmm.
That goes with that little bit of pressure, right? They put that little extra pressure on you going into the last few frames of the 8 games, and it can catch you.
But kudos to Shane. Shane came back. He actually went really far in the tournament, and I know he's won a national gold before in Masters, so he has some experience with that. So it was just insane how everything was so tight there. Yeah.
The one thing we're missing is congratulations to Tyler Tickett.
Yeah.
Right. It's what a great performance there on Sunday, and for first place of was it $10,000?
Yeah.
Our first 10K. Prize pool winners. So,
I guess that's something I want to ask you guys. And this isn't anything against Regina. It's just how you guys feel about it. how do you feel about them end loading first overall?
I mean,
Because it was $5,000 more than second place, so it was literally double, right?
Wow,
it's huge. Did they do it so they could get to that $10,000 number?
That's my guess. I didn't actually talk to them about it because it is their tournament. They can structure it however they want. My personal feelings on it, I would love to see it more structured. For every match you win a little bit more money. Yes, the 10,000 is obviously huge for anybody to win that event. But is it worth that much more to give them the extra $5,000 than to spread it out among maybe the top 8 players?
Well,
give 7,500 to first? Like 7,500 is still a huge number.
What other tournament gets a second place of $5,000 though?
TPC.
Is it $5,000 for second place? And what's their first place prize?
I think
just over 7,000.
I think first place was like 55 or 6, and then second. Second was like 55 or 6, and then and first was 75 or something.
Yeah. The money was more spread out up the brackets than Regina was, right? Not saying it's a bad structure. Like obviously the numbers were there, but do you feel you would like to see more TPC structured payouts, or would you like to see Regina structured payouts where if you win the tournament you get 10 Gs, and if you get second you get 5? Obviously the payouts were less down lower, but
I'll say this is I think when you have your $10,000, say $10,000 first place. With how packed those two events are, I think it's irrelevant. You're not going to get more entries. You're not going to get less entries. So I know in the past, sometimes people throw those $10,000 up front to try to create more interest. I don't think it's going to affect it either way. I guess it is what it is. I'm irrelevant to both. Obviously, I think I'm biased. I think TPC. I like to share the love a little bit more. But if you're still doing well in Regina, you still get paid. So I guess.
But to be fair, Tim, it's not really you don't have a say in what TPC's pay structure anyway. That's what Blair's pay structure is, right? He kind of decides that, right?
No. We after we do our initial like payouts before the tournament is run based on whatever number, and then once we have all the entries, we sit in that room and we talk.
Right, but it's based off percentages, right? And he rounds up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not like, we have an extra $5,000. Let's move that to the top end. Right.
It's not like that.
It's structured all the way up. Right.
Yeah. Blair basically we trust him on his money skills and we go from there.
Blair busy?
No,
Tuck.
Yeah, it's like, sheesh.
Like when I actually saw the prize payouts, through the initial rounds of Regina, I didn't think they were actually all that bad.
Oh no, they're great.
What were you guys paying out at TPC for like first match, second match? Just out of curiosity.
I didn't make the cut, so I don't remember. Thanks, Adam.
I can't remember.
They were pretty close.
It was like 300 for your first match win, which actually seemed like a lot in comparison to TPC. Because I thought TPC 2 years ago was like 200 or 250 for your first match, and then it got higher after that. But
I believe TPC was really close. I think it might have been 275. We would have to look back at it, but the next match was 550 at Regina, and I think TPC was pretty close to that too. And then the next jump was more at TPC than it was in Regina.
Okay. Yeah, because we try to get it so that the increase in the payout gets bigger every time. So with Regina this year, you won 300 for the first match, you won 500 for the second, and then it was 750. So it was like a $200 increase and then a $250 increase. Whereas like TPC, we would do like 250. We'd done 250, let's say I think that might have been around there.
500,
Next match is worth 500, and then I think the one next one was 900, if not 1,000, somewhere around there. Just trying to get that increase from match just a little bit more consistent.
And like, this isn't, I guess my question wasn't an argument between the two tournaments. It's just, how do you personally feel about seeing the pay structure one way compared to the other?
You know, I've finished what I was it B-side, A-side for us. I can't remember which one it was. And I walked out between winning one match on the one side and then going up to there. I think I won like $2,400 or something like that. So I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah.
It was okay.
In comparison to like the Autumn Open, and I remember, you know, when obviously numbers were certainly much lower, and when we were running the numbers there, it was extremely top heavy, right? Your top 2 or 3 guys were getting significantly more than the next, you know, 10 guys, right? You're only talking $50 like a pay jump from 16 to 15, et cetera, and then it was really top heavy. So
yeah.
It was good on the good years, but for the most part, most people weren't getting paid out very well.
Even this year, I think first was like $5,000 for Autumn, and then 3,000 for second, and then I was third at 1,800. It was a big drop in there, and then it dropped significantly after that. Even
I think I was 10th and I got 900.
Yeah, so 1, 2 is definitely the big ones.
Yeah, but you got to remember there's an extra 8 players that they're paying
for sure
qualifying money to, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Definitely.
But
I don't know. I think both work. I don't mind having that big top prize, especially when we've got the numbers out there to kind of back it up. And who knows? Maybe there was some additional, you know, funds that came in that they were, you know, putting towards the prize pool as well, right? So all your sponsorship monies and stuff like that. So. I don't know. I think both tournaments are phenomenal. I like the payouts. I think there's enough money for winning per match to make it, you know, very worthwhile to win that match in both formats. So I got no issues with either.
You know, with it being, you know, $300 for your first match, I mean, you know what, you could 4-shift it and feel comfortable with that, because you make the cut, and you win one match,
you're even.
Exactly. So it definitely makes it worthwhile. I disagree, Tim. I think there's room for more entries. You see, you're not going to get more entries. I disagree. I think our Thursday shift next year is going to be big again. Oh, I think it's going to be bigger than it was.
but you get my point. I don't think the $10,000 draws more people.
No, but it is a selling feature.
It is, but
it's a bragging rights thing.
But not when you already missed 4 people from making the. You know, 4 people didn't fill it up. So I think it's relevant.
Timmy, I think the only difference though is like the tournaments up in like Fort St. John and Uxbridge, right? With probably the 2 that offered the 10K. We didn't have these type of numbers to make second prize and third prize worth anything.
No,
right?
But
so
that's why
they were so top heavy, and then the rest of the guys made nothing because they still had to pay out 10K.
But that's why we went to Fort St. John, because it was 10,000. It was different because we already knew that there was only going to be 30 guys that show up to it, and then we already had a group of guys already planned. First place gets 5,000. The other 5 would get $1,000 each.
Yeah.
And we knew we had a good shot, not sound arrogant about it.
Oh, you like your chances. 30 guys for 10K top.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, out of those 30 guys, there's only about 12 of us could make it. So it was really a 50% coin flip, right? So we hit it pretty good. So, but I agree. I just don't think the numbers change that much, regardless, unless you throw a Thursday shift in there. But knowing that the money's there, you know, people are still going to be coming back. So
I think it's pretty cool that they had a $10,000 payout, just like back in the KG, right? Mm-hmm. And Uxbridge in Ontario, right? To have those numbers again that haven't been around for almost 2 decades, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, the professional side of bowling is gaining traction. I just hope the rest of the bowling world keeps up, right?
Mm-hmm. So I guess leading in. Go ahead.
I think we got to get some more of the proprietors just to bite in a little bit to realize that how important top-notch level play is. I know that there's a lot of parity between house play and competitive play. But if you look at the curlers that are out there now, look at the curling world, man. It's totally changed because people are excited to watch the top level people compete.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to hit on that a little bit more so that we can get some more leverage within the other sports communities.
Yeah, like your local proprietor maybe spotlighting these players and doing a little more with them, right? Bring them in for clinics or stuff like that. Like there's a lot these proprietors could do with their local league players and stuff like that to bring in these top level players that play in your house or live near your house, so you can bring them in and do stuff with them. It would help, right? I used to, not anymore.
Girl, no.
But if I asked you to name a curler from your province, I bet you guys could name a curler from your province.
Maybe retired, but I do know them.
Yeah.
Whatever. But the point of that is that you could ask a curler to name a bowler and they'd have no clue.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? So the popularity and like our top athletes aren't getting the recognition, that other sports. I'm not saying that we're hockey or nothing like these, but we still why can't we compete with curling? You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
To me to see them, how they've changed their game and how much publicity and how things are growing for them, I just see the potential here with the tour. Like, it's good to see what you guys have done over the last few years to get it there. It just needs to be a few other people need to buy on board and this can take off.
Yeah, it needs a little help, right? Like it's still the people playing are the only ones promoting it. Where's the little extra outside, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scotty, I was talking to a curler or whatnot, and they mentioned that actually curling's in a worse spot than 5-pin bowling is when it comes to curling rinks closing and youth not being involved as much. Like their numbers are declining just as rapidly as 5-pin, but they have something that we don't, right? And obviously they can spotlight their players, like you mentioned, just a way better way than we can right now. So, but I don't know if that's I'm not familiar, but it's so different with a private business running, trying to run a professional sport, because it's just different than a public, like football. It's all public, right? It's a lot different than bowling. And I think honestly, as much as we have these associations and stuff, everything kind of falls back on the proprietor, how much they want to push it and or how much they are wanting to do that within their center, right?
Yeah. But how hard would it be, Tim? Just as a general question, before one of your leagues, if you don't have a lot of open play always going before the one league, would it be impossible to bring in one of the professional bowlers for a few dollars to come in an hour before, invite the league bowlers to come do a Q&A and a play, like a small pro-am or something small like that before the league even starts?
No, absolutely.
Right. Your league bowler comes in, pays $5 to play with the professionals, and you do something small like that. It's just the small promotions. I know a lot of the bigger houses, they probably have open play right to league bowling, but the smaller houses probably don't. Like, let's say Stettler Bowl, right? Heartland Bowl in Stettler. Robert probably could do that with Ashana and Ashan Schwartz, right? You bring them in before a league and you invite your league bowlers to come in a little bit early for $5 and play a few games with supposedly the professionals of the sport, and maybe they learn something, do a Q&A. I don't know.
We should be charging our Thursday night crew every week, eh?
Yeah, all the league bowlers.
Yeah, Bill McDermott, give me your $5. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Just a thought.
No, for sure,
the proprietor
get
behind some of the professional bowlers that do play leagues in those houses and stuff like that, right?
We find a huge for any of you guys that haven't or don't know, we got Celtronic. It's similar to Cubica, where you can put the advertisements up on the screen and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, we didn't want to just have some lazy background on there, so we haven't got around to trying to find advertisements for it yet. But Dexter thought a good idea, putting the excitement videos from the 3 tour where we had like the 15-second clip or something like that.
The hype videos for each
the
of the tour
videos.
championships.
So we put all 3 on there, and you should see how many of our league bowlers just love watching it. Even open play. And then he's like, guys, we announced that we're going to be hosting it this year. and they're like, well, how much are tickets? We'll be there, because they follow that stuff all the time, right? And little things like that, like I'm confident we can fill the bleachers in August. But you got to get the right people in the right way of getting things started. And I guess moving forward to that, I think that you guys are probably on the good track in the Manitoba Open. I think you guys have the right people there in place, Scott, and I think you guys have a good core there, where I think you finally might have a chance to have a successful event to join the tour. Like, what do you think about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trevor and Amanda have done lots of really good things right now in the province for the YBC, and for them, Mike, their dad stuck his nose. He's been doing this for, I worked with him at Rossmer when I was 16, so their dad's been doing this a long time, and he's invested in bowling, and it's nice to see that they've stuck to their guns, because they had it a long time ago, and it was unfortunate that it had to go, but it was just kind of the way of the lay of the land at the time with the way things were going, that it just wasn't feasible. But to see them coming back, and the idea and the perspective that they put into the thought of to make the tournament different and unique is awesome. Rather than just throwing something back together pitch patch to make it work, they've invested some time, come up with a really good philosophy in a really interesting way, and I think it absolutely will be a viable event for people to come and come out and play football, play bowling back in Manitoba. It's been a long time since since St. James and Dakota were hosting the tournament. We had all you guys back out here, so it's good for province and it's good for bowling here, because I think it'll just help the kids and the young people here. We don't have enough opportunity for people to go out and play, and it sounds bad, but I don't think enough people in the province have enough gall to go out and put their money on the table out in Regina to go test it, because you find the local people support their thing there so much better than we do here, that hopefully this will be the difference maker, that people say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go test my luck and see what these guys are like.
Yep. And all it does is make people better.
Yeah. Yeah. We need the kids to play, and the young people that, the 230, 235 guys in the province that, that need to see.
Yeah,
but they can play, because what's funny is like it's tough scoring out here. So the guys that are on the cusp here and that are 235 and can't bust that number to carry over much higher, it's a hard sell to think that you're going to go out there and average 260 when you haven't gone out there and seen the difference in the scoring. So once you understand and that, and I don't mean to be rude about it, but the scoring as you go west from here gets a whole lot easier at times, especially for the centers that you guys are playing in. So to go play it at some of these places and get the scoring that you do, it'll be good for the guys that are 235 here to get a taste of it, to say, you know what, I can go out and I can do the 260 thing. You know what I mean? Does that mean they're going to make the cut at 270? No, but that the only way you're going to ever get there is by first learning to get to 260.
I see. I'm excited because for both of you, if listeners don't know, we waited for Karie for about an hour to get the podcast up and running. So Scott had a great talk with him off there. So I think Scott and I are going to be excited. We can actually grind to make a cut instead of have to throw a bunch of strikes. So it's going to be right up our alley there. So I'm excited for it.
It's it'll be nice to see. I as a non-gunner guy, I made a joke when I watched your guys' podcast last week and said, "Hey, who do you guys think is going to win this week, a gunner or a roller?" And there's not a lot of houses out there nowadays that suit the roller ball for to give you the extra benefit of the doubt. It's so much more a chucker centers now. And so, at Dakota, for example, I sit there and I watch these guys who are ripping the ball down the lane, getting carries and kickbacks. And man, when I punch the middle, guess what? It ain't bouncing back. My speed, I don't get that shit. So to get to a center where it's going to even it out a little bit, man, it'll be nice for a change to have a rolling house.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, Scotty. I threw the ball as hard as I could and I didn't score any better. So
Good. You got to throw it good.
I got you.
Pitch and dice is a problem. You're not at the casino here.
Fair enough. I did spare a split and a head pin on the weekend, though. I did have 3 shifts I'd try and do it, but I did it.
I will say, I think you were probably my son's favorite guy to watch. So you gained a new fan there. He really appreciated the walk off the lane. I'm just like, he should probably do it more often when he hits the middle.
Oh, I thought you meant when I fell onto the lane. Maybe that was his favorite part. I got you.
Regina
I hope
Sniper.
that goes in one of those blooper videos with the Cam and the Lenny Anderson.
They already put it on Facebook, so I'm sure he'll enter one of those highlight videos.
Perfect.
There was another one with Lenny this year too, right?
It was in practice, I think.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it's still on camera though.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've left my gripper on many a time back in the day.
People with wet towels don't have wet towels at the score desks. Keep it off the ground, yeah.
Don't step on it.
Yeah, I guess I should have been paying attention. That might have been my fifth or sixth beer of Baker's, Willow.
Yeah, just don't start a Baker shift really poorly.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you have shots thrown at you.
Yeah.
Like literally. Thanks, Dex.
Well,
They were tasty and they worked. So.
So Scotty, we have a segment on here. Unfortunately, I don't have the questions in front of me, but I'll try and pick it out of the air. Who was your bowling mentor growing up?
You know what? That's a tough question. You know what? I had a lot of guys that really were influential for me. When I came out of YBC, I was a pretty big hothead. So for me to have, I first got drafted into our Unicity League, which was our traveling competitive league, and I had a guy named Bart Boone, which is Cam's dad. So I got drafted by Willie Orn and Bart Boone. I remember one day coming out and kicking a ball racket about something going on, and I walked off the lane and literally Bart Boone slapped me. And I was just like, listen, and this is junior football guys. I'm in my 20s. I'm like, what the is this guy doing? And he was just like, that's not how we do this up here. And I was just kind of like, what? Like, blown away that this old dude was going to call me out about it. And so those are the guys that, like, bowling wise, you know what, I never really tried to emulate anybody. Like I love, you know, Robert Shanis was a guy that I just kind of, you know, was always around from YBC up to the adults that I like watching play. But I think it was more about the older guys like Bart Boone and some of those, you know, veteran guys, Bud Knight and some of the old dudes, Lynn Howell, you know, Kevin O'Leary. Those are the guys that shaped me as a player and as a competitor.
Awesome. Yeah. To hear that name, like I didn't get to know Cam's dad at all, but Willie Orn was around when I first started playing, so kind of neat to put
the
two and two
CBC.
together
There wasn't many more guys that that dude owned the CBC for a lot of years, man.
Yeah. So
that was my nickname for him growing up, was Mr. CBC, because there wasn't anybody that could beat him.
Yeah.
So.
So past or present, what's your favorite tournament?
Well, I got to go back to the TPC, just to my baby. I got to go back to that one. It's my favorite just because it's the one that holds the most dear to my heart right now. So,
yeah.
Pre-Sherwood, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I boycotted that place since because, you know, I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah, obvious reasons.
Obvious.
Fair.
You know, I can't even get in the field. I send out, I ask if they'll take any like former champions in the field, and I get direct hard no.
Scotty, I'm telling you, man, I struggled so hard saying that to you too. But I had already told.
Man, I'm just dogging. It's all
I know. Trust me, it ate at me, but I couldn't guarantee it.
You're doing the right thing. If you would have let me in, I would have been pissed at you. Because
you know what, Scott? You know what, Scott? I actually asked Dexter who you were because I forgot who you were. I didn't remember your name.
I had to point it on at the guy with the soul patch on the wall.
Oh, that guy. I remember that guy. He was relevant.
Like that, eh, Tim? Duly noted.
I'm many thousand kilometers away. I can say that. That's all I have.
Yeah, he's brave.
He's red here, man.
He's already working on his wrestling ring in his basement.
Top yo.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite or most memorable match?
You know what? One of my favorite matches of all time was one of my rookie year in mixed team in the Open, and I played against Bruce Mortar on the mixed team, which was pretty amazing at the time because I had heard all these stories of. I'd come back from school and played football in the States and kind of taken a break and came back up and heard all about this dude who was so unreal and hadn't really done much tour events or any of that stuff at that time, and was just kind of got back into it and got an opportunity to go play him. And he started with the first 7. I finished with the last 7 and ended up beating him by like 3 or 5 or something. And it was just kind of one of those moments where I was just like, holy. So it was getting to bowl your idol and on a mixed team at the time when you're a rookie was pretty cool because he was at the time he was the man for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's be fair. He was still a man until he retired. So.
Oh man, there's not many people that throw a sweeter ball. Like his ball was pretty spectacular, and his perspective and attitude was top notch. One of the best ever. So
yeah, absolutely.
Absolute first vote Hall of Famer if they had that shit in here in our sport. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So what's in your arsenal? What bowling balls do you throw? What shoes do you use?
Golly, I have. Well, when I played on the tour back in the day, I used to sell bowling equipment, so I have wax. I wax and wax the balls. So I'm actually a duck pin guy. I've got soft rolls in the bag as my go-to if I need to fall back on. But I have ebonites that I use, a set of duck pin balls, and then I've got a set of my other ones. I guess the ones are Aramith and ones are not Aramith. Ebonites, and the other ones are another duck pin ball. I can't remember what they're blue and white ones I got from Greg Pederitis.
Are they Pro Line ABCs?
Yeah, Pro Lines. Yeah, and they're along about just slightly under the geometer of my ebonites. So a little bit softer. A little bit harder to my ebonite.
And then I assume you're still using Dynaroos then?
Yeah, I still wear my Dynaroos. I got a set of. It was funny because my last Masters tournament that I played, and I said I'm retiring. I took my shoes off. We had a shoe draw, and I won a brand new set of Dexters that year. So I've got a brand new set of Dexters in a box in the closet that are waiting to be used from, I don't know, I guess 5 years or 6 years ago now. So, but I love my Dynaroos are still my favorite shoes, the most comfortable ones yet. So I'm hard pressed to switch out of them.
Right. And so, you can pick past or present. Who would be the one person you'd want to play a match against?
Well, I'd love to play Mr. Adam Weber because I haven't had an opportunity yet. And, everybody tells me that I got to call him Mr. So
Mister.
I have to try to fix that problem. No, honestly, I'd really, I had the opportunity to play a lot of the big dogs when I was playing, back in the day. So I got to play Bruce and Lynn and, Joe Cranbetter, and I can just go across the provinces of all Jim Head and, so Mark Mador, like list of guys from every province that I got to experience. So those I appreciate those moments, but now I'd like to get to play against some of the guys I didn't get to play against. Doug McCaw would be another old guy that was kind of done before my time that I didn't get a chance to play with. But all you little dogs out here that I'm talking to right now, I want to beat up one day. So I'll come back to get you guys all. That's it. So yeah, the young guys, man, because I see what you guys are doing nowadays, and I want to be a part of that. So I'd like to get a shot at all you guys because you guys are all top notch. So.
Well, trust me, Scotty, everybody on this podcast wants a piece of you, so bring it on.
Did you get like a bowling bag attachment for your walker?
A little ramp?
I get to play Masters Seniors next year.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I'll be 50 next year.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm about walker style.
Yeah.
But I picked a style that was conducive to using a walker. I think my little hook.
Yeah.
If I was throwing the ball like Derek Holm or Derek Horn or something, I might be in a little bit of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. So you guys have a topic you want to bring up?
I sort of do, actually.
Sure.
Scotty, as people know, he's really big into professional sports. Is there anything from professional sports that you can take towards your bowling, or is there anything from bowling you've taken towards your professional sports?
100%. I think, when I came back from college and learned about, I learned a lot about guided imagery and a whole lot of mental toughness stuff. So that's one of the things that I present on through, I do Bombers clinics and done some Football Manitoba clinics and stuff. And that's one of the things that I present on is about mental imaging and guided imagery and mental toughness stuff. And so I think that I'm 100% a significantly better bowler from learning my experience playing football in the States and learning how to analyze and just the whole, experience of how to use your brain to be successful and centering. And so I think that's what's, I'm not going to say separates me because I don't want to be arrogant, but that's what makes me compete with the guys at a level that I can, is not because I'm as athletic as them, but I think I have a pretty solid mental game, and that's strictly from learning that stuff from the States and sports psychology and that. So I would say 100% of it's transferable, that sort of stuff. And then also coaching at, learning and coaching at a pro level and coaching professional athletes teaches you perspective and understanding, how much your perspective can hinder or can enable you to reach your goals.
Is there anything from the professional side of sports that you think we could bring to bowling to promote our game or get our game to the next level? Is there something you see that we're missing that you see in the other sides of sports?
Marketing, all that sort of stuff, that's not really my, kind of the forte of what would be looking at. But I think that, I think there's a lot lost in the mental part of the game. Like, I don't think that there's enough teaching. Like, I don't know, you guys were at bowling school, but when I did the bowling school with Tom, we did we did guided imagery and some of that stuff. And I just don't see, I see too many people that are making mistakes that should be controllable with the right mental game and having their self in a spot that they're, I don't even know how I want to word it without sounding cheesy, but these guys should be able to control their brain enough in the spot that they're not mental midgets, that they should be able to be coming out on the other side, but they just don't see that that's part of the game. They just think it's throwing shots and throwing strikes versus being mentally tough, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
I totally agree. The gentleman that used to come to bowling school, he actually worked for the Bombers too, did he not?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did their sports psychology back in late 90s and stuff. So yeah.
It was always super beneficial to go to it. It was our one nap time throughout the because they did a relaxation session and taught you how to relax. They turned off all the lights and 5 minutes later you'd hear all the snoring, but they definitely did a lot to teach you how to relax and how to play within yourself and control your energy levels, which requires a lot of self-awareness too, and where you play better at. And it
makes such a difference, man. I think that in the moments when the stress was on and being able to handle those moments, the reason why I think that I felt that I was going to be more dominant in those moments was because I had control of the emotions and I centered myself and I understood, being nervous isn't the bad thing. It's your body telling you, your mind, that you're ready to go. It's how you deal with it and how you use those feelings and emotions to be successful versus being detrimental. So I just think that it's a key part of the game that's not focused on enough. There's so much more to it once you get a taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the top players just naturally have it. I think that's just something that you can separate for yourself from the top guys from the middle guys. But I think if they actually knew more about it, I think you'd find guys would even separate themselves even more.
I think there's a lot of people that have learned it along the way. You've spent boatloads of money going to all these tournaments, being in those positions so many times that you kind of learn on the fly and you figure it out. but you could save yourself a lot of money by just focusing on it and, maybe taking some classes or watching some YouTube or, reading a book. Could probably, yeah, exactly. Read a book. Exactly. Could save yourself a boatload of money by just learning that way.
Could save a lot of L's, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I've never thought that I've been more capable than guys, but sometimes I've thought I've been mentally tougher than people. And I think that's, maybe that's an arrogant thing, but I think that that's also what, helps. If you can have something that separates you from the other guys, it separates from the other guys, be it good, bad, or otherwise.
Oh, 100%. How many times have we been in a match where you look to the guy melting down or losing his mind on something, and you sit there and you're like, well, I've got him.
Perfect. Done. Match over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am very, there's lots of times where I watch guys and I just kind of giggling going, man, this is it. It's done. You know what I mean? You can just tell from from their perspective and their attitude that they're done. They're done. This is, and you can jump on those guys. And that's, to me, I'd rather have those moments where you can just sit back and grind and grind and grind. And when they get to the grind moment, like you said, Tim, and then all of a sudden it's just, oh man, this isn't going my way, then you can jump on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. That was actually one of my big goals in the off season, is to really start, working on the mental game a little bit more. And I think I've got a relatively decent one, but I've never really trained at it. And like Dex was saying, I think, just kind of learn it along the way and all that. But I definitely think there's room for improvement, probably for every one of the so-called pros on tour, to jump another level. And quite frankly, I want to find out if I can jump that another level. And I think that's the next, next topic for my game.
It's just like any other training, man. If you haven't lifted a weight and you get in the weight room, you'll see differences. If you haven't skated and you're going to go skate laps, you're going to see a difference. If you haven't trained your brain to be mentally tough, you're going to see a difference. It's inevitable. Like I as a guy who buys into it 100% now and teaches it, it'll make you from being ordinary to extraordinary. Like it's that much of a difference on how being mentally tough changes everything.
That's how that big jump, just buying into positivity.
Yeah, that's it.
Once you buy in, it's incredible what the mind can do for the body.
Well, you know what? Some people laugh at me because they'll ask you, what'd you have last frame? And at times I go, I don't remember. Because I literally just try to tune it out. Like I could have a strike or I could have a punch, and sometimes I'm just like, whatever. I really don't remember because I'm really trying to. You can't do anything about the past. It sounds cheesy, so why even acknowledge it?
And you're almost 50.
And I'm almost 50, and I can't remember that.
Wow.
Oh man. Well,
what were we talking about again?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that's a great note to end this podcast on, guys. I kept you up long enough, Scotty. I know it's.
You're gonna end it on me being.
Yeah.
Like,
I know it's late. You're almost 50. You probably need to go to bed. So I just wanna. I can't thank you enough.
I gotta get it on film. We're still playing the 4-player, or is this the note that I'm too old to play next year?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Hashtag loyalty. We're always in.
Go, hey man, guys. I really appreciate you having me on here. I enjoy chatting with you guys all the time, and what you guys are doing is good for bowling and good for the tour. So if you're ever bored and you ever need somebody else to throw some garbage out, you're always welcome to call me up.
Well,
awesome, buddy.
You just committed.
Really
to
enjoyed chatting
job.
with you tonight. Exactly.
Episode 100. So when I turn 75.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Scotty.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
No problem.